All right. Hello
How's it
and
going?
welcome, welcome everyone. I never really know how to begin these, and there's always that pause where I forgot uh, peek behind the curtain for everyone watching. I always walk everyone through, and I always forget to like figure out how we're gonna intro this. That's okay. That's neither here nor there. This is another one of the 10 questions with Trinity. Today, I am joined by Miss Betsy Stacy, and so let's get into it with the first question. Betsy, who are you?
So, like you said, my name is Betsy Stacy, and I am the current kindergarten teacher for Trinity Lutheran.
So that gets to the first question. It's actually three questions because I'm a dirty cheater. So that's who you are. What brings you to Trinity, and how long have you been at Trinity? Because yours is a little bit different than some other church workers.
Yes. So, Trinity, I have been there since I was in preschool. So, I was, 3 turning 4, started preschool 4, way back when, early 2000s, like 2001, 2002. Was at Trinity as a student from preschool through 8th grade with Mrs. Hannah, who's still the 8th grade teacher now, graduated in, I think, 2012. Was around through high school with youth ministry, youth group stuff, 1045 girls. So you'll usually see me or my family at 1045, church service at Trinity. And then in college, I started helping out with extended care. I went to the University of Toledo, become a teacher. And then kind of when COVID and everything hit was when Mrs. Shirley was retiring. And so I was able and willing to be a part of the family in a new roles. So I had a lot of different roles and perspectives of Trinity over the years. So out of
And I think
25
that's
years,
such
about 20, 21 years of my life at
wow.
Trinity.
Well, and that's such a cool thing that you have the different perspectives, to you know from being 3 or 4 years old. Were you in Mrs. Quackenbush's class at the time?
Was. Yep, her and Mrs. Harris.
So to go from being a student to being now a teacher and a member of the congregation, I think that's just such an awesome different perspective to bring, to have grown up and to see that. So this isn't on the list, but I got to ask because I run into this whenever I go and visit my folks, and I go to the school that I grew up in. Does it ever get normal to be peers or coworkers, or things with the people who have seen you from little ages?
So I would say overall it has surprisingly been pretty normal. I know like I catch myself in conversations sometimes. Because with the current staff at Trinity, Mrs. Gordon was my 3rd grade teacher and she's still in 3rd grade. And again, Kirsty, in 8th grade. Everyone else has either, retired, moved on,
Mhm.
had new calls. So I do find myself when I'm talking to like my parents or like other old classmates from Trinity, I'll be like, here's Mrs. It's like weird, like, what do I call them in this
Mhm.
situation? Or I'll be like, oh, Mrs. Gordon, and it's like Marianne, like it's like you can call me that now. So like there's
Right.
things like that, but going out to staff retreats, conferences, and like having had them see me when I was younger versus like now on like the more professional, personal side, I think it's been a really fun and interesting transition. I remember one of our first conferences post COVID. I posted a couple pictures on my Snapchat story. We were playing like spoons or something, and one of my old Trinity classmates was like, "Did you ever think you'd be working slash playing a game at a conference with our old 3rd grade teacher?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I never even thought about it like that." But
Right.
like, no, I never did expect life to be that way.
Mhm.
So I think it's been a fun kind of transition from like kid to adolescent into, well, I still feel like an adolescent, but early adult.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, as someone who now has fully transitioned from that, like feeling like you're an adolescent, into adulthood, now that I've rounded that 29 corner, you feel that way. That's cool to hear because it's just such a unique experience to have. So let's talk about the verse. So you picked Psalm 119 verse 105, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Good. All of my prep is still valid. So why did you pick that verse?
So kind of actually going off what we were just talking about, growing up around Trinity, this has kind of just been a verse that has grown with me. It was, the song, all God's people sing from like
Mhm.
first, second grade. Thy word was always one of my favorite songs
Yeah.
growing up. My dad and I would sing it in the car all the time. It became my confirmation verse, as I hit high school and college and began meeting a lot more people outside of the faith. It was a good way to say, hey, like people might believe different things, but like God's word is true. And it's always just been kind of like Trinity. It's always just been a constant that's been with me, but also grown and shown me different aspects of life as I've
Yeah.
grown and changed and developed into, who I am today.
Right. And I think that's so cool. So this was your confirmation verse then? Okay. That's awesome that because I know people do confirmation verses differently. So did you pick yours or was yours assigned? Um,
We were able to pick ours.
okay, okay. So that's really awesome that it's got that connection, not just to like confirmation day, but through your life. I'm glad you mentioned the song because that's been in my head ever since you told me what verse we were doing. I was
Yep.
humming it while I'm reading through and all of that. So um, that's awesome. This is a great text. Psalm 119, for those of you who may not know, it is the longest single chapter in scripture. And so yours falls at the first verse of the none uh, portion of it. Um, so I guess I should explain that the Psalm 119, you may know this already, is an acrostic poem, which means that each section starts with the same letter. Doesn't start that way in English because we have to translate from the Hebrew. So yours is the first verse of the section that starts with the nun consonant, which is the in sound as we would have it. So your word, or thy word, as it still pops up for me in my head, is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. It's a short and sweet verse, but it is so jam packed, full of stuff. So our first question that we really get into the text with is the question of who is the enemy in this text. So we normally talk about the enemies of sin, death, and the devil. Do you see any of those enemies here in this text?
Yeah, I definitely think that while maybe not specifically in the verse itself, it doesn't say, do this, do that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I think, like you said, the context of all of 119 or even just thy word as a whole book of the
Right.
Bible, it hits everything. I mean, those days that you stray, that you're having a rough go at something, when you're like, oh my goodness, like the world is just down on me. I know I can turn to the Bible, I can turn to the word.
Yeah.
Like it'll get me back on the path. If I'm like, oh my goodness, I have an answer to a question and I need some information from somewhere. Where can I turn? Thy word. Like I know that I can
Yeah.
always go there. If you go through confirmation, as you go through, different types of Bible studies. I mean, we call them Bible studies for a reason because we're studying the
Yeah.
word, we're studying God's
Mm-hmm.
word. What is it telling us? Where is it telling us to go? How, what is his promises to us? What, are, just everything. I mean, from history to promises to, the story of Jesus from beginning to end. I mean, it really is everything and it guides everything, it answers questions, and it is truly everything you need when
Mm-hmm.
sin, when the devil, when death, when all of those things are around, you can, even though the verses itself doesn't necessarily say, when these things
Yeah.
happen, you can kind of read between the lines of like, I know when I'm having those days, having those moments, having those
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I can turn to maybe that verse specifically, yes, but anywhere in the Bible to find what I need in that moment.
Yeah, and I think that and that's the thing is that like you said, it's not explicit. That we've had some verses in this series that, oh, it's so clear who the enemy is. It's a little bit more implied outside of the context.
Mhm.
Um, and so you hit on it, and I kind of want to have this conversation as well as, what is the lamp used for?
I mean, I know this is kind of jumping ahead on some of the questions, that you
Yeah.
like to ask, which is the point of view one. So growing up, point of view that I've always taken is that obviously I know I didn't write the Bible,
Hmm.
but I think of this as, God is speaking to me for me in my moment in life. Like I said, this verse has grown with me. It has helped me see things certain ways. It has helped remind me of the promises that he has. And to me, I take that lamp very literally. Like when I am off course, when I am in a bad place, maybe it's mental health, maybe it was with the passing of my grandpa, maybe just
Mhm.
transitioning from high school to college, college to adulthood, COVID, whatever. I take it as
Right.
like, this is your light. Like, this is, God telling me, telling his people,
Yeah.
this is your light that you can carry with you to guide you through the ups, the downs, the good, the bad. Like, I personally take it very literally of the Bible is your light to guide you down the ways that he has for us to go.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is, the enemy is all three of those enemies of sin, death, and dark, and the devil. Uh, where do they live is in the darkness that's outside of the lamp. Yesterday, as we're recording this, yesterday morning we had the, uh, gosh, full disclosure to everyone watching, I am, well, as we're recording this, still sick with COVID. Yesterday, I watched church online, and I don't remember the readings that well off of the top of my head because I had too many other things I was worried about, namely not falling asleep because I was still so tired. Um, but we had the reading where it talked about the darkness, that those who dwelt in darkness, right, and what happens at night and in the dark. And here's we're seeing the juxtaposition of that with the lamp, right? Lamps give off light to guide what our path. If you ever read on the Psalms, and it won't focus because I could unblur my background, but you'd see how much of a mess I'm in. Reflections on the Psalms by C.S. Lewis. I highly recommend to anyone who's ever curious about studying the Psalms. So he has an entire chapter about this Psalm that I was reading earlier. And he highlights all of the different things. I think it's so cool. Specifically in regards to that verse, there are many rival directions for living, as the pagan cultures around us show. When the poet calls the directions or rulings of Yahweh true, they are expressing the assurance that these and not those others are the real or valid or unassailable ones, that they are based on the very nature of things and the very nature of God. And I think that's so cool that, like you said, that it is a very literal reminder to us. The third use of the law, the second use of the law, the curb. That's the first curb mirror guide is the order of it. Anything I say that's wrong, we're going to blame COVID. That it's the curb, right? And so that's kind of what we're seeing here is it's the curb up against it, but it's also the guide, the instruction. So
Mhm.
how is the enemy or the enemies, sin, death, and the devil, defeated in this text?
I mean, kind of like I said, the Bible, the word that this verse talks about,
Mm-hmm.
um, is there for any situation that you need. So when it comes to sin, maybe it's a sin that someone's struggling with specifically, like or something that is repeated in their life. Maybe it's something that happened one time that they just, can't get over their out of their head, and they're like, I know God forgave me, but like, what does the Bible say? Maybe it's something really specific or really broad. There's so many verses and so many places to go and check. And this, Psalm 119, 105 specifically says, hey, like this is your guide. This is how
Yeah.
to follow that path. If you get bumped, if you try to step over that curb, like here you are coming back to it. Um, Talks about the promises of God, the defeating of Jesus, defeating the devil, the main
Yes.
enemy, and all of that.
Yes.
There's, I mean, it itself, I think of this verse to kind of the New Testament and the Old Testament, there's always all these parallels between the two. um and I really also like the verse, I am the way, the truth, the life. And I think that this indirectly points to all of everything that could be like a whole like 2 other hour
Right.
conversation. And it points, here, the
Yeah.
word is a lamp, but in the future, which is still in the Bible, but in the New Testament, bringing to
Mm-hmm.
Jesus all of the promises that have happened and that will happen. I mean, the text itself just says everything you need is right here. Like you don't have to look
Yes.
to the world, you don't have to stray.
Mm-hmm.
It's right here for you when you need it. God is ready to answer your questions, to be with you, to send a
Right.
spirit as you read and all
Yeah.
that good stuff.
Well, and I think it's so great that like you said, that it points elsewhere. Um, because this is in summation the law, right? That God's word, God's law is a light to guide our path. And what's going to happen? We're not going to follow that path. And
No.
so, what does it do? But it then guides us to the one who did, and that's ultimately where the enemy is defeated, is at the cross. On the bulletin board in my office, I have an image that it's very messy to look at. It is super confusing if you don't know what you're looking at. It looks like a rainbow, but what it is it's all of the times that the Bible references the Bible, drawn with lines connecting the two,
Oh my
and the
goodness, yeah.
number of lines that start or end uh, at the book of Psalms. It's so thick, and the thing is like you said, the Psalms pop up everywhere, and that's what's neat is that the Psalms are kind of anachronistic. They don't necessarily they're not always rooted in a time and place, so we don't always exactly know what's going on in Israel's history when this is being written. We can make assumptions, and sometimes it does tell us this is a Psalm of David after he slept with the wife of Uriah the
Mm.
Hittite, for example. But that's the beauty, is that the ambiguity helps us to then take it and apply it to ourselves. I think it's one thing to look at. I'll use that example of David, right? When we see, well, David, he sinned with Bathsheba and he felt really bad. Okay, but I've never done that. But when we read, "Create in me a clean heart, oh God, and renew a right spirit," oh, that I get that. And so here, we may not have served in whatever way. We're not kings of Israel, but we have wandered off of the path, and I think that's so great. And it gets to the next question that you kind of alluded to, and I'm going to let you answer it in full. The point of view. So whose point of view are we taking in this?
Again, kind of like you said with the Psalms and how they are very open-ended in a lot of ways. I take it to be
Mm,
God speaking directly to me. Like he is telling me, hey, on the
yeah.
days that you stray, on the days that, the world is more important than me, on the days where you're at work and those kindergartners are, just having a rough go at it and you're having a rough day and everyone's having a rough day. Hey, like take a deep breath. Like I'm here for you. My word is
Mm-hmm.
here for you. My spirit is here for you. Like when the time is right and you're, able to focus on me, I'm here to guide your
Right.
path. Take those deep breaths. Like be ready because your
Mm.
next part of the path that I have for you. It's like him talking to me and telling me where to go, what to do, when to do it. Very
Yeah.
personal.
I No, that's it exactly. I think the point of view I see is the psalmist. Excuse me. The one who is, like you said, who God is speaking to in this. And so God's speaking to the psalmist, but the psalmist is also speaking to God and saying, "Look, God, it's your word, not my word. Your word
Mhm.
is going to be that lamp to my feet and that light to my path." Um, and and that's the thing, is it's a reminder that even when we don't do that perfectly, God's word endures. God's word doesn't change. The light doesn't waver. Um, it's interesting. I was reading something about the purpose of lights in the time of the Bible. There was a presentation that was on like the parts of the Hebrew house. I thought it was cool because you probably figured this is how it looks, but he was actually the guy that was giving it was showing it was like one of those old lamps. That I think of them like from Aladdin. Um,
Hmm.
that has the lamp and it's got a light. Here's what I found. And he that's why I'm trying to move on from smartwatches, is they always interrupt. But he's walking around and it is like showing light, but it's showing exactly what's in front of you. It's not like when you think about like street lights,
Hmm.
and you can kind of see more. But it is showing you what's right in front of you. And I think that's something that's really important for us to remember, is we don't concern ourselves with tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself, but let today be today, and let God's word guide our thoughts, our words, and our deeds in the here and now. So we talked about God, so we should talk about what this text tells us about God.
Yeah. So I think that this tells us that he loves us. I think that
Um,
that's what it truly boils down to is his love for us. You know, like you were saying, he's ready to show us his next steps for us. It's not about
right.
him, or I'm sorry, it's not about us. It's not about what we want to do or how we can do things for him. It's how he is going to use us, how he's going to help us, how he's going to love us and guide us and be there for us, take care of us, which are all ways that he shows us his love.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that where he shows us his love is in the giving of his word. Um,
Mhm.
we're talking Old Testament. So when we see the word, we're going to think the law. And that's true. And I think one of the things, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, um, the tension that it brings to think that the commandments, the law, is a good thing,
Mhm.
but it is. Um, that's why God gives them the commandments, is to make them His treasured possession, that to set them apart from the way of the world, and that's what He gives us is His law. It yes, His law was fulfilled in Christ's death, but that doesn't remove it from us. It still it guides us, but we are now set free to fulfill it. We're no longer under obligation to fulfill it, but rather we are free to fulfill it. Um, and walk in that light. And I think that's the thing, is that God is love, God is mercy, God is patience, God is all of those great things. He's unchanging. And I think that's something that's awesome, is the light never flickers. Uh it never goes out. It's always there to guide
His
us.
word is never changing either. Like his
No.
promises were his promises then, they are today, they will be tomorrow.
Mhm.
Like just because Jesus died in the past doesn't mean that those promises are done and gone and over with. Like it's all still very relevant and there now, just like it was then and will be for however long into the future.
Right. And that's the thing, is Psalm 119 is kind of a love letter to the law. um, but it's such a beautiful thing that we get to be given this law, because oh, even more so than being given the law, we are given the law fulfiller. We are given the law keeper, the one who did this perfectly, and the one who not just lights our path, but has walked the path, and then extends his hand back to guide us.
Mhm.
Um, so the next question, maybe we only answer half of it, because how do we get here? I think the only thing I was able to come up with, the only thing I was able to come up with was the fall. And obviously, like, that's tongue in cheek. I make that joke every time. If we follow it far back enough, we get there. There's not really anything in scripture that gives us a time or a place or anything for this. Do you have it? I mean, is there anything that you thought of
Yeah, when I
with it?
was, kind of thinking about some of these questions prior to starting today, my first thought was the fall. It was
Hmm.
Adam and Eve fell and entered the world, and God knew, hey, they're going to need a reason or a way to stay on the path that I have for them. They're going to
Yeah.
need to be guided. They're going to need lights to light their path, whether it's as simple as, even with the Magi and the stars leading them to Jesus, like some type of light in actual Bible stories that happened, or even in this verse, just that reminder that the light of the word is always going to be there for them, because the fall happened and we'll never not be able to fall on our own, and get out of it on our
Hmm.
own. We'll always need the word and supports of God in place. That, kind of came this verse and Psalm 119 more or less as a whole.
Yeah. And so that's the how we got here. The how, or where do we go next? I think it's interesting because I turned a couple pages. Well, I got to Psalm 120, and the subtitle for Psalm 120 in my Bible, at least, is "Deliver me, O Lord." And that's exactly where we're going next. That's the where do we go from here, right? It's Jesus. that's
Yeah,
the
I was
long
gonna
and
say, I
short of
feel
it.
like it feels like such a Sunday school answer to just be like, well, sin happened, we need Jesus, and what's the
Hmm.
answer? Jesus, right?
Right.
That's what the kindergartners say for half of our religion questions. The answer is usually
They're
Jesus.
never
It's
wrong.
right, no, for
Yep.
real. It would always end up back there, which is a good thing. Um, but I truly think, using the Bible, whether that's, and honestly, I think even the word sometimes can be a slightly beyond the Bible too, of like it could be listening to the message at church. It could be
Mhm.
singing songs that were based on the Psalms and based on God's word. There's, lots of places where you might not even realize the word is the word in that situation. Um,
Right.
but taking even just baptism and communion, like there's his word is in, the sacraments and stuff there too.
Right.
And just living life, whether it's going through catechism and studying the word there, going through Bible stories, again, the good, the bad of life. And just making sure that when your time comes, when it's time to uh reunite up in heaven with the Lord and with those who have gone before, that the word is with you every step of the way, because that
Yeah.
is his one of his biggest gifts and tools that he has given us.
And that's exactly, I mean, it's, you said it so beautifully, and it's just uh so true. The word is the big thing we go with from here. Um so what does this text tell us about ourselves? We talked about what it shows us God is. What does it tell us we are?
I mean, I feel like first and foremost, it tells us that we are still, just like when Adam and Eve fell, we're still very much in the midst of sin, where we still
Yeah.
get lost, we still need
Hmm.
guided, we still need the curb and the mirror and all of everything. Like you were saying
Right.
earlier, we still need the law. Sure, Jesus fulfilled a big part of it, but we still in today are here. God still has people doing things he needs them to do, and we
Hmm.
can't do those things. He can't have, his will done without us having the Bible and having the tools that we need from him, the spirit, everything. So I definitely think it just tells us that we're as sinful and shameful as Adam and Eve were back then, but
Yeah.
also it tells us that we are going somewhere. His will is getting done, and that we're not just here to be here, but that there's a purpose and a point for him, by him, through us.
Yeah. And I think one of the things it highlights for me is our dependence. Um, that we are not independent, but rather fully dependent on God.
Yep.
Um, that we aren't the ones that are striking the match and lighting the path. No, God is giving us the light. And um, Luther, in the footnotes of my Bible, it's got a quote from Luther where it describes that the word guides the feet and the heart, and faith does not require understanding. Thus, uh, Thus, faith does not enlighten the understanding. Indeed, it blinds it, but rather it enlightens the heart. And I think that's the thing, is that we are uh, dependent not upon our own reason, our own understanding, but on God's gifts. The first article
Definitely.
that has been that's the memory verse last week, and it's going to continue to highlight through. You know, the dependence that we have on God doesn't change. It never varies, never wavers. And so this is a good reminder for us to come back, um, and to return to the Word, so that it can guide our paths. Um, so what does this then make us feel, or make you feel specifically? You mentioned earlier some of the connections you've got to it. So if you had to kind of sum up those connections, let's talk about our feelings a little bit with this verse.
Yeah. Oh, I hate talking about my feelings. No. Like I said earlier, to me, it all just boils down to love. I mean, I
Mhm.
know that on those days where I'm feeling alone or scared or upset or even happy and joyful, I know that, on the darkest of dark days to the happiest of joyful days, that I am loved by him. I know that he, I don't have to think about it. Like you were saying, like it's not up
Right.
to us. Like I don't have to think about it. I know, like, hey, God has a path for me. His Bible's telling me what it is, like he's got the Holy Spirit working on my heart, and he will be there for me. He'll provide for me. He'll take care of me. The law, it's written on our hearts too.
Yeah.
Like we have everything that we need to do his will, you know, as he needs it to be done. And it's love. And it's the fact that I know it's not on me. Because if it was on me, I would mess it up because of sin and everything
Yeah.
else. And like, I don't have to have that stress. So it's just, he loves
Yeah.
me so much, and that I am able to serve and do all of these things for him, by him, and through him, with everything that he has given us to guide our path, to light the way, and to be there for us.
Mm. For me, this text makes me feel peace. Um, I've reviewed my feelings wheel from the start of this, so it's more feelings. It makes me feel peace because of all the things that you just said. That God doesn't expect me to do this on my own, but rather has given me the one who can do it
Mhm.
in my place. And that God's word, yes, the law is written on our head and on our hearts, but so also is Jesus' name, and that word of Christ, that word of redeemed, is unchangeable, just like all the other ones are as well, and that word is what guides us as we now go out.
Mhm.
In the time as this, it was all looking forward to the cross. Now we live in the time where we look back at the cross, but yet we go forward with the cross on our head and on our hearts,
Mhm.
reminding us of Christ the crucified. So, last question is kind of another one of those cheater questions. What's left to ask? Are there any questions that you have left to ask that we didn't bring up in our time recording already?
So I think, when I was kind of like, again, reading over these questions, for me, it's almost more reading that, it's kind of like, so now what? Like whether it's us talking
Yeah.
here, or someone watching this, on their own late at a later time. So now what? And I think in a way to answer that, it's kind of answering it, kind of like you said, cheating a little bit, answering it with more questions. So it's like, okay, so if I'm watching this, we're talking about this verse, the word is our path. I need to read the Bible. I need to do whatever I need to do to know the things I need to know. But now what? So it's like, what options do you have next?
Right.
Like, how can you use the word? How, what will does God want you to do? Like, have you been praying on certain things, and kind of almost asking yourself more questions to figure out what kinds of things to learn and to take away
Mhm.
from this whole conversation.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great way to put this, because not that we shouldn't read the Bible, but if we're reading it and it's falling dead, then we're not using it for the purpose that which God gave it to us. Is it is a norm for our lives. It is to guide us.
Mhm.
And that fits in with this, because this is the word that is supposed to guide us in our paths. And so, the so what of as you framed it for me is, I need to read my Bible more, because it's going to norm and guide everything else that I go through. But that's true for all of us, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I think even that, so what now? It really just depends everyone and their specific situation, Maybe it's, oh, I read my Bible every day, but oh, I always avoid like that kind of that topic because like I just can't, I
Mhm.
don't understand what is being read. Maybe I need to read about that more. Or maybe it's, oh my goodness, maybe I should start attending more Bible studies to really figure out more things about it. Or, oh, I've been really struggling with this aspect of whatever, or this very specific situation, does maybe I miss something, does the Bible go in and talk about whatever that specific to me
Mhm.
situation is, and really taking something that sounds so general, just, yep, the word guides my feet, guides my path, does its thing. But so now how can, how does that become more for just
Right.
everyday life, besides just, yeah, it's a really good verse, it's cool, now
Yeah.
what?
Right. And I think when you do read it, I think I'm going to go ahead and give everyone permission to skim Chronicles, but that's personal preference. Uh, that's the book I always skip over, because it's tough. It's real tough. Kids are always amazed. They're like, "How many times you've read the Bible all the way through?" I only tell them one time, and they're shocked. Like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, I've read all the books of the Bible multiple times." But Chronicles, it's like, all right, I gotta like block out time. So maybe that's the one that I'm feeling convicted. I gotta go and spend more time in. But that's all the questions. We did it. We got through all 10 of them. Anything else that you'd like to say before we sign off?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for.
You know, anyone out there watching, listening, like I said, kindergarten teacher, usually 10:45 is my service, but feel free to stop me, say hey, check
Yeah.
in, all that good stuff.
Well, and that's part of the reason is I want everybody to feel connected here at Trinity. We're coming up on the 150th.
I
Let's
know.
connect as a family of God, and so I want to highlight different aspects. And it's so great of you to take time out of your Thanksgiving break to donate an hour to help me record this.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining me.
of
Thanks
course.
everyone for watching. Hopefully, these have been helpful for you all. But that's all I've got. So until next time, go in peace and serve the Lord.
Thank you.